This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the second edition, second training. Wow, so good to see you all. So good to see your smiling faces. We're gonna wait 3 minutes more to allow people to jump in. Because as you guys know, when we jump in, the train has departed. In the sense that it's better that we start all together. So just a little bit of patience, and we'll be starting in just a second. So good to see you all. Two more minutes and we'll start. How are you guys doing? Was the home fun or work?
It was good fun, man. Really fun.
Cool. I got some more stuff this time. Towards the end. I'll keep the suspense. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute more and we'll get going. Easy. Yes, that's what we want. Easy. Relaxed, fun, and interesting. Good combo. Yeah, easy, for sure. Time for easy. Oyi, I don't know if he's joining today, but he basically invited a whole bunch of people into this container, which I'm super grateful for. And he loves the easy. When he does presentations, he has this, in fact, he has the physical button that says easy on it. He like presses it and it says time for easy stuff. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. No one has joined in the past couple of minutes, so we'll get going. Amazing. Okay, are you guys ready? Let's see if I can keep up the level of energy of last time, because I surprised myself even. Okay, awesome. Amazing. Wow. So many amazing keys have been coming through. You guys have no idea. I even stayed up late last night putting all these together, and because so much has been coming through. Like it's a, I mean, these are all the things that I use every day in my life, and yet when the time comes to actually, you know, put it together and have some quality around it, then more and more and more stuff comes, and so it's a super exciting process. So we're going into our second training today, and it's on growth. Again, it's on accelerating, balancing, and sustaining growth. So welcome, and let's start. We'll start by a coherence exercise, just like we did last time. So I'll share the sound from my computer again. We're going to be doing the same thing, and we'll add one more element to it, which is gratitude. So I invite you to close down your eyes gently, and we'll just do a little group coherence exercise for 2.5 minutes or so. So I invite you to take 3 deep, elongated, smooth breaths in through your nose and out through your nose as well. And just melting, relaxing into the space, and with the breath in, bringing in that energy, that alertness, that excitement, and breathing out, and make the last one the deepest of today. And I invite you to think or allow your subconscious to reveal one thing you're grateful for right now. Be anything, could be a ray of sun, could be that we're here together. A nice croissant you had today. Yes, 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 into that heart space. And I'm gonna play the sounds, you know, the drill. Well, those that have watched the recording and have been with us the first time know the drill. So the Tibetan bowl hits every 5.5 seconds, and we just keep on breathing consciously for 2 minutes. So starting now. Beautiful. So now drop your awareness from your head into your heart even further. Feel your physical body, the contact with the chair, with the floor, the size of the room, the walls, the bigger space outside of the room, and gently come back. Open your eyes at your convenience. And let's jump into our today's training. So what we're doing here in this container is that we started by talking about human development last time. And today we're talking about accelerating growth. Then next week, we'll be bringing it into more practicality by discussing our zones of genius and how to articulate, activate, and monetize them. Then we'll go into conscious entrepreneurship playbooks and we'll actually play. So it will be also very practical. Then we'll go into AI codes to potentialize what you're doing anyways and do it with even better results and leveraging AI. And then we'll have a little celebration graduation ceremony, and then we'll go potentially in the second month. So in the last episode, remember how I told you that this is like a series that we're watching in a way? So in the last episode, we said that the goals why we're here is that we want to accelerate our growth. We want to increase our quality of life. We want to up-level the inner entrepreneur. We want to activate our mastery on our path of mastery and upgrade the collaboration with AI that we already have, or those that don't, to start that from the right foot. And we spoke about two master keys, right? So we said that when we describe growth, how growth happens, that leads to faster growth. And then we also said that inner growth leads to growth in quality of life. So inner begets outer growth, so to say. And then we started by looking at this default view on human development that society suggests to us. And we said, nah, we want a fuller map of human potential, because this is just a part of it. This is just a tiny part of it. And there is just so much more to life, so much more to our potential. And so we came up with this. We didn't really come up, but we looked at the simplest map of human development that is actually very powerful, regardless of its simplicity, or maybe even thanks to its simplicity. And then we started to zoom in, right? So we zoomed in and we looked at how each one of them really works, what it means, what stages we go through as we grow. And then we also zoomed in even further and we said, okay, so what actually changes as we grow across those trajectories? And we spoke about bits per second of information, remember? Then we spoke about levels of excitement. We spoke about, for uniqueness, we spoke about quality of worldviews for the mind. We spoke about autonomy and choices for emotions. And we spoke about vitality and life energy for the body. And then we also measured our quality of life and our worldview balance to track progress. And so now we're moving into the second episode on actually accelerating growth. So I want to start by this question. What does truth taste like? And this is in continuation of what we spoke about last time, in the sense that whatever information I'm sharing, there's no need to believe anything. However, it's a good idea to take it as a hypothesis, and especially when it feels like truth, then that's when we want to pay close attention. And so in my view, truth tastes like common sense. Common sense is a very commonsensical expression, but it's actually so deep, because when things are commonsensical, they're usually true. Another way to look at it is that when we feel that we're being reminded about something important, clearly something important that we already know, that's also how truth tastes like. And so now let's jump into the actual content. So the question here is, how does one actually accelerate growth? So we looked at all these maps, right? How we grow. And we were saying that just by looking at how we grow, the growth already accelerates. And then how does one actually go about accelerating it beyond just looking at the maps of how we grow? And there is this word called training, okay? And the dictionary definition of training is the process of learning, development, or improvement through practice, experience, or instruction. So basically what I'm saying with this is that one accelerates growth by training, just by definition. process of learning, development, or improvement through practice, experience, or instruction. And so we have this map. And so what would training look like on these? So how do we actually train to improve our bits per second of information that we perceive in any given moment in time? How do we improve the quality of our worldview? How do we grow and train our autonomy and choices that open up? And so on and so forth, levels of excitement and life energy. And I'm going to use the analogy of basketball, okay? I've been playing basketball for over 20 years, and so I chose this sport as an analogy. So think about it. When one wants to get better at basketball, grow as a basketball player, now, how does one train? Think about it. Would it be sufficient to just go and shoot? Would it be sufficient to just go and train dribbling? Like imagine a basketball player that just trains on dribbling, ball handling, nothing else. So they don't run, they don't shoot, they don't play, they just train the dribbling. It doesn't work like this. So the point here is that in order to become a basketball player, one needs to train across all the major areas of basketball. Otherwise, it just doesn't fly. You cannot just run and want to become a basketball player. You cannot just shoot. You cannot just have endurance, just have strength, just have jumping ability. No, it takes all of these things together. So it sounds very obvious with basketball. And so now we're going to apply it to the question at hand, which is how do we grow across all these human development areas? And the key here is very simple, is that the optimal growth and also the fastest or faster growth is balanced growth. Same, just like in the example I've given. In order to grow the fastest, we need to grow across all the areas at the same time. And so how can we design just one training that accelerates growth across all key skills? So in basketball, that would be, and that's what the players actually do. They don't, they do focus on parts of the game, but in a given week, they must train all of the components. Most of the times, even in a given day. So everything has to be included. So again, in this analogy, how do we actually design a training that helps us to grow in terms of consciousness, uniqueness, mind, emotions, and body? And this is an answer. You don't have to read through it. I'll explain. So this comes from integral theory. This is called integral life practice, where they basically say that if one trains across the 4 components at the same time, body, mind, shadow is spirit. Spirit, in our case, we call it consciousness. Shadow, we call it emotions. Shadow actually is a great name for it. Mind is mind, body is body, and uniqueness is missing here. So they're basically saying that there are all these different practices that exist in the world, and usually they fall under just one component, right? So if we do Vipassana meditation, we're usually focusing primarily on the consciousness domain. Or if we're studying integral theory or belief systems, then we're working on the mind and not so much on the other vectors. A little bit, but mostly we focus on one thing. And so these guys, they're saying, basically the recipe is that you have to touch upon all areas for optimal growth. And they say, like, don't overdo it. Do 2-3 practices at a time, rotate them regularly, and you're good. So, and that gives you the optimal growth. Now, how about we take this to a whole new level? Because obviously there are things that are missing here. So one is that uniqueness is missing, right? We want to include uniqueness as well. Second thing is that there are practices that actually touch upon multiple domains, not just one. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, and some of them even 5. Okay, so there are things that can be improved in this approach, and that's what we're going to do right now. Let's see. Yeah. So the way we're going to do it is that we're going to use the 5 trajectories as well. So we're going to add uniqueness, obviously. And then what we're going to do is that for each one of them, we're going to discuss the following things. So I'm going to be sharing a ton of different keys and codes, and they'll be structured in the following way. So I'll first share the shortcuts the shortcuts for each of the 5 trajectories. Then I'll share the optimal practices that in my experience are most optimal for each one of those 5 domains. Then I'll share meta keys, which is keys that apply to all the 5 vectors, all the 5 trajectories, or maybe 4 or 3 at minimum, but ones that actually touch upon many of them at the same time, right? Because we want one training and we want it to be easy and we want it to be simple. We want it to be potent and actually give results and be useful. Then I'll share meta practices, right? So shortcuts and keys and codes and life hacks is the same concept. So we're talking about shortcuts, optimal practices per vector, then meta practices across all vectors, and then we'll go into something that I call master practice here, which is basically, okay, great, this is a lot of codes. How can we simplify it and bring it into something that actually is easily doable, where we can track progress, where we can get better consistently, and where we can tackle all the 5 at the same time. So we'll get there towards the end. Now, for your, I want to speak to our minds. Really, it's kind of like the same mind we have, uniquely individual, and at the same time, one mind. And so the minds, they may get overwhelmed because this is going to be a lot of information. So the mind may go like, "Whoa, how do I make sense of all of this? I couldn't remember all of it, and like I feel overwhelmed." That may happen in this conversation. So let me speak to our minds and calm them down a little bit. Dear minds, we love you. We love you so much. This is going to be a lot of information, but I got good news for you. So there's no need to worry. You'll be completely fine. And so I want to say a few things to you, dear mind. One is that I just structured this information, so you don't have to worry about not knowing where each piece fits. You'll know that it belongs to one of the 5 trajectories and one of the types that are of keys and codes that are on the screen. And then some of them will be across the trajectories. So you have that. So that's going to make it easy to understand. Now, the second thing is that there's no need to remember. It's impossible to remember all of those things. So don't try to remember, because we're not only speaking to you, mind, we're speaking to all the other layers of our being that we have, because mind, you're not the only, you're not us, you're a part of us. You're a part of us. There are other parts of us. There is also our consciousness, there is also our body, there is also our emotions, there is also our spirit, and so on and so forth. So mind is just one part. So if the mind doesn't get something, it's fine. Now, another thing I want to tell you, dear mind, is that I will share the entire table with all the keys with you. So you don't need to worry that you'll miss out. You won't, because there will be the files shared. And then lastly, at some point it may get overwhelming, but then we'll simplify it. We'll bring it into one place towards the end. So just please be patient, dear mind. Okay. So this is what we're going to be doing essentially, right? So we're going to be filling out that table with codes, the most practical, useful, effective codes that I've come across throughout my life, structured in this way. And this is how the table looks like. Dear mind, don't get overwhelmed already. You'll have the access to this table, and we'll talk through each one of these pieces. Actually, many of them. So not to worry, we'll take it easy. As you receive this information, don't only use your mind to feel it, soak in it, and trust that whatever is for you, you'll retain, you'll remember, and your being will place this codes in the right place. Also, as you go about this, note down the codes that resonate with you the most. Okay, you may do it as we go on your paper or in your notes on your computer, or you can just mentally notice whatever resonates the most, because then we'll bring it together and we'll figure out the ones that actually resonate with you the most. Okay, so with this, let's start. So we're going into the first trajectory, which is consciousness. Remember this symbolic representation of the states of consciousness, what you see on the slide. And we're going into the first type of codes, shortcuts, or life hacks, or codes, or keys. People call it many ways. So let's go with the first one. It obviously starts with noticing the present moment. This is very important, noticing what is happening, what is right here, right now, in this present moment. Now, what does it mean? Well, it starts with the basics. The basics are three things. What am I thinking? What am I doing? And what am I feeling? So basically, as we go about life, it's a good practice to kind of like bring yourself into the awareness. What am I thinking about right now? What am I doing right now? A lot of times we go on autopilot, so much so that we're not even fully aware of what is it that we're doing right now. And at work, this is super useful, right? Because if we know at all times what task are we actually on right now, then it helps a lot with the productivity. And then the feeling. What am I feeling right now? And this applies both to different domains of feeling. So emotions, yes. Body, yes. Any kind of sensations, yes. And then it goes deeper, okay? After these three first layers, it goes deeper. So if you feel like you're kind of like already mostly aware of these three things at all times in your life, then it goes deeper, obviously. Then we notice what's happening, like what's around me, what's happening. Am I in a conversation? Am I in a commute? Am I listening to an audiobook? What's happening outside? Then also, what am I noticing? Just simply, what am I noticing? Then, what am I sensing or vibing or picking up on? Okay. And then another one is, what am I intuiting? Like, what is the intuitive message that I'm getting about the situation, about what to do next, about anything? Okay. So that was the first code. That was just the first code, the opening. Then, and I'm gonna just go through them like this. Okay. So this is gonna be a lot. But as I explained, not to worry, we'll bring it all together, and whatever resonates, and just trust the process, trust that whatever is for you will stay. Now, next one is noticing quality or vibrations, which is similar. We talked about this last time. Things have different vibrations or quality. If you don't speak kind of like the vibrations language, totally cool. Quality is a common term that is similar. So noticing quality in things, objects, events, anything, right? So you're in a cafe, what's the quality of their food, of their menu, of their design, of their furniture, of their service, of their this, that. So just noticing quality in things, in music, in anything, really, it's a very powerful key to become more aware and more aware and more conscious of what's happening in your life in the present moment. Now, next code. Now we're going meta level. So so this is a powerful code. This is about meta awareness or meta consciousness. So being aware of the changes in consciousness. So for example, go to a spa, right? Or to a massage, a Thai massage place with a beautiful tea and Zen atmosphere. So there's a before and after, obviously. Or you go to a mountain hike. There's a before and after and in between. And so basically our bits per second of perception of information, our sensing and our awareness capability changes continuously, okay? Let me just take a quick pause and put up the gallery because I want to see you guys. Otherwise, I only see myself and it feels a little weird because I speak a lot. But the nature of this container is such that it's a little less interactive than some others. Okay, so again, this is about changing in consciousness. So as we become aware of how our consciousness changes over time, depending on what place we're in, what events are happening, what people we're with, what projects we're working on, this is very powerful because it brings the meta awareness of consciousness itself, and it allows us to grow in it further. Next code, heart opening protocol. So what's heart opening? Well, heart opening is increasing the bits per second of our, 1 second, I got some pop-up on my screen. Yeah. heart opening protocol. So heart opening, yeah, is about sensing more, increasing our ability, our perception of the sensations around us, of the world around us. So there is a protocol or a sequence of steps that works for me really beautifully to keep on doing that continuously, right? Not in the next ayahuasca or next retreat that we go to, but continuously every day. And this is actually important because we're talking about here not meditating in the morning and a practice that lasts for 10 minutes and then we're kind of off into life that is not practice. No, we're bringing it together. We're saying that there's just one life, there's just one present moment. So it's about continuously being more and more aware and conscious of what's going on. So what's the heart opening protocol to sense more and more? It's a sequence of steps. And you may want to, I'll provide the slides so you can always come back if this is something that resonates with you out of the other codes. So the sequence is the following. 1, am I feeling anything right now? Am I feeling anything right now or nothing, blank? Okay, so if we do, then how intense is the feeling? Like right? Because when there is we're in an argument or in a fight or something, then intense. And then when it's just the normal everyday situation, less intensity. So noticing the intensity. 3, where am I feeling it in the body? Specifically in the body. Feelings are felt in the body somewhere, especially emotions. So where am I feeling that in the body? Which part of the body is picking that up? Next, what am I feeling? Can we articulate that? Is there a word? Is this sensation familiar? What is it? Number 5, how long can I stay with the feeling? Right? So a lot of times we kind of notice it and move on. But if we stay with it, especially when it's intense, it obviously starts to open up layers and layers and layers, because whatever we pay our attention to opens up, kind of like rabbit holes. Whatever we put our attention on, focus of our attention on for a prolonged period of time, that thing opens up the deeper layers of reality. So the next question is, am I allowing myself to fully feel it, or am I escaping this? Next question, is the feeling changing? As I stay with it, is it changing? And then lastly, what information is this feeling or sensation delivering to me? Is there information attached to it? So this is the heart opening protocol. And I personally try to do it as much as I can, because just going through this process is what opens the heart continuously, allowing us to feel more and more and more and more. So basically, it's just so simple. To feel more, we gotta actually feel more and notice what we feel and pay attention to it. Okay, now we got a couple more in the consciousness domain. So decision making, it's a fact, neurological fact, that we actually make the decision. The moment of making the decision, it's not rational, it's emotional, it's feeling, it's based on feeling. So as we need to make a decision, let's say we have 2 or 3 options, then the first a lot of times people go into the rational thinking and they're like, well, if I do this, then maybe I'll get this, but I won't get this. And then here, that's rationalization, and it has its place. It's helpful. It's perfect. But then in the moment of making the decision, we feel into it. We're like, And so for us to make a decision towards one thing that feels less good than the other, it will feel off. It will feel very off. So whether we realize it or not, that's how we make decisions. And so when we need to make a decision, bringing awareness into it and feeling into the options can be very powerful, because decision making is kind of like how we roll on the continuous basis. And then lastly, intuitive knowing. So it's important to notice the voice of wisdom. And this is a very kind of like simple graph schematic, just to show how it feels. Thinking thoughts, the thinking brain is the signal is high, is usually much higher than the intuition, than the voice of wisdom. And so in order so this is basically making the case for quieting the mind, or to being aware, not quieting as in like imposing anything on the mind, but noticing the workings of the mind, the thinking patterns of the mind, so that we actually get to hear that voice of wisdom and intuition that is always there. And yeah, there is one more on this, and this is a cool one. Maybe I should have started with this one. So what is meditation really? Meditation is, people think that meditation is what we do when we meditate, and then the rest is kind of like not a meditation. Meditation, not a meditation. In reality, it's all the same process of there's just life. But when people meditate, or they call something a meditation, they have an intention of actually increasing the consciousness, of actually raising the bits per second in order to understand what's happening in the inner workings of our system at all times. But what's happening in the system doesn't stop happening. It's always there. So when we meditate, it's the key thing about what people call meditation, as in sitting down somewhere and, you know, like watching the thoughts or watching the breath. Something people don't talk about is that we want to minimize information input, so that we can hear and see all those inner workings with more vividness, with just a higher resolution, because we put our attention onto it. And so what does it mean to minimize information input? Well, first and foremost, 80%, they say, of the throughput bandwidth of the brain is visual. And it makes sense, because when you download a video is much heavier as a file than audio and as text, right? Same thing. So visual is heavy. And so once we close down our eyes, the visual, boom, there is just more resource to put onto other things. And the same applies to sounds. So silence is minimization of the information input of sound. Then a stillness is the minimization of the input of the information of, you know, moving and spending energy on movement. And then solitude is also minimizing the information input from energies of other people, right? When there are other people around, there's always an exchange of energy. And so this is important. And also on the blankness, which is no visual, something that I really like to do in meditation is to not only close the eyes, but also put a blindfold on, a good blindfold on, because that cuts out even the minimal visual input, and that really helps to go deeper and to connect with the inner experience. Now, what are the practices, the optimal practices that I believe are most conducive to growth in consciousness? There are three. One is, so I'll start with conscious breath. Conscious breath is the king of the practices. So, and I won't speak about that because we'll tackle it at the very end, actually. Then contemplative defocusing. What is that? So, is it right now, actually? So you're sitting and watching the screen right now, or whatever is it that you're watching. And defocusing is just that, is usually we focus our sight on a particular focal point. And it's obviously possible to defocus our sight. We've all done that. If you don't know this word or concept, it's very basic. It's just, so now you're looking at the particular point, right? So focus on looking at your screen, for example. Now, defocus your sight. So instead of just focusing on the screen and kind of like tunnel vision on the screen, try to see everything that is around. So to the left, to the right of the screen, to the up, down. So just amplify your visual field into more, and you'll lose some of the tunnel vision or focus, but you'll gain an interesting sensation, which is actually similar to witness consciousness, which is to be the observer of whatever is happening in your present moment experience. And that can be applied also to the sounds. So now that you're looking at things in a defocused way, focus on the sounds that are around you, maybe my voice or some sound of the cars outside or something like this. And now defocus your soundscape into just the sounds overall, without a particular sound, just all the soundscape at the same time. Right. So you may probably be feeling right now some kind of an opening, some kind of like a zoom out of types of your consciousness, which is again similar to witness consciousness. It's the act of observation itself. Okay, so that's contemplative defocusing. It's a very powerful practice that one can do again any time of the day, any point in time, and just bring yourself into that observer position and increase your consciousness level continuously, especially if you do that continuously. And the third one is relaxation. Relaxation, maybe surprisingly to some, is some of the most powerful ways to actually open the heart and to sense more. Relaxation, because the tensions in the body and tension in our system is what's kind of contracts the energy and doesn't allow that opening, because in essence, all of those energetic blockages and muscle knots and things like that are tensions. And so we're literally spending energy to tense ourselves and to maintain a certain level of tension, as opposed to actually relaxing. Like, it sounds so utterly simple, but that's the truth of our lives, which is, and Oyi actually says relaxation. I don't know. I think you're here in the call, Oyi. He says relaxation is the key. Well, that's why it's the key, because it tackles such a central theme of our life: heart opening and sensing more. Okay, so we're done with the consciousness trajectory. We're going into the shortcuts or life hacks or codes of uniqueness. And in the next session, actually, we'll go very practical on that. So I'll be brief on this one for now, but I'll just highlight what's worked for me. And in the next one, we're going on a beautiful journey into our own uniqueness through Zone of Genius. And so we're all unique, right? We spoke about this last time, and essentially think about, I don't know, like trees, right? So trees are categorized. There are, oh, I wouldn't know the names in English, but you know, there are like pine trees and that kind of trees. And there are trees with meaty round leaves. Coniferous in Spanish. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. There are like types of that's embarrassing. There are types of trees. There are types of trees, and same thing for humans. There are types of humans. And so whatever personality test system you look at, that's what they do. They say humans come in types, and our system says that there are X number of types, and this is how they differ, and this is how we describe them, and this is how we test for them, and this is what you kind of like how you apply it in your life. Any personality test is that. Now, some personality tests only focus on the personality, so not on the other dimensions of us, not multi-dimensional. Many tests are just personality, focusing on, yeah, personality. There are bigger parts of us that are beyond personality. So people call it transpersonal approaches. And so there are transpersonal personality tests. So, for example, things like you know, more advanced systems like Gene Keys or Human Design or similar, there are transpersonal. So they look at more parts of us than those. So understanding that is important. All personality tests do the same thing. They look at typologies, they create a map of types, and then they help us to identify where we fit. However, we're so unique that we're never going to find any personality test that's going to do the perfect final job of like prescribing us what kind of person we are, and so hence what we should do. Now, however, all of them are useful, very useful, very, very useful. Okay, then a huge code for uniqueness is following excitement. I love the take of Bashar on this. He just makes it so simple. It's a channeled work. Yeah, so basically the idea is that excitement is what humans call, is what we call for the alignment of ourselves with our our balanced configuration, our higher self, true self, the true us, whatever we want to call it. So excitement is the inner state that shows the degree of that alignment. So the code is very simple, that if we follow our excitement in everything that we do professionally, then that takes us places, because that's when we're most authentic. And so literally, like whatever feels more exciting out of those Trello to-do tasks right now is to be followed in this paradigm, which I completely subscribe to and follow every day of my life, up until the excitement expires, and then there is the next thing. And obviously, it's not as easy as, you just switch to that. It takes time, and things come up, but this is what I believe to be the truth of developing in uniqueness. Map of uniqueness is what we're going to look at next time. So maps, as you know, as I've been saying, are really good to see what's possible, what potential is still open for me, where I am, where am I heading, what that looks like, and what's the next transition that I'm going through. So super helpful. We're going to look at a map of uniqueness that I created with AI based on my own experience. In the next call, I haven't seen any other maps of uniqueness. Well, I have one, but it's not as practical as the one that we're going to be using. So next code is that it's about learning to enter the flow state. So how do we do that? How do we enter the flow state? What is the flow state? That is a shortcut. If we learn to enter the flow state as much as possible, to stay there as long as possible, and to enter it as fast as possible, that's a huge shortcut. And now to the practices of uniqueness. And this is what we're going to be doing next time, Zone of Genius, through identifying top talents, weaknesses, and then projecting that onto spheres of life. Mission discovery is something that I'm envisioning to do in month 2. So mission discovery, I honestly don't know many good tools out there, because these things are just so buzzwordy and so fluffy, and so few people can really define and understand what purpose and mission really are, that it's hard to come across a good process for mission and purpose discovery. But we'll attempt at that in the month 2, because I think I do have one that is the best one I know of. That's just the way it is. Okay, and the last code on, no, not code, practice on uniqueness is creativity and artistry. So we're all artists, we're all creatives, we're all creative, we're all artists, just to a different degree of expression of that, of owning that, of growing into that. But we all are. At some point, to some degree, we all are, okay? And so a lot of times, what I notice is that we get suggestions from our higher self or life. Why don't you do this in terms of like artistic self-expression? And then the mind, at least in my case, used to say, oh, I have no time for that. Or it used to say, that's weird. Like once I got this idea, get a temporary tattoo printer and just see what happens. And my mind was like, come on, it costs money, and like, will I really be using it, and things like that. And then I actually went ahead and I got it, and then things started to open up, my creativity, my artistry, in ways that my mind couldn't fathom. Okay, this is the amazing thing. So I believe that it's about getting that thing, that intuitive thing that we suggested, actually getting it done, actually doing it, and then seeing what opens up from there. Okay. And we all got our own ways of artistry and creativity, right? So for me, for example, and there is no prescription, there is no rule. It's like so multifaceted, it's so infinitely intricate, and so many possibilities that it's impossible to prescribe anything to anyone. It just opens up. So for me, for example, like even making these slides, for me is an act of art. Making infographics is an act of artistry as well. So I just see everything as artistry. Creating these maps, artistry. Creating projects, artistry. Leading this container, artistry. everything is creativity and artistry. How else do we create things? Okay, so we're on to the third one. I think we're moving actually with quite well. Okay, so the third one is mind, and I will start with shortcuts. Then we'll go into practices, optimal practices again. So, this is a good one. This is a good one, guys. So remember how we spoke about worldviews last time? That the development of mind is essentially maturity, levels of maturity of the perception filters. So kind of like removing the distortions, the allergies, the addictions to certain things, and calibrating our lens of seeing the world and making it more robust and more not indicative, more reflective of how reality actually is. So instead of like adding things, distortions to how reality is, seeing it with more and more and more clarity, quality of worldview, quality of thinking, quality of vision, quality of inclusion of different objects and people into our worldview. And so what's really amazing here is that every idea that we have and express is shaped by the current worldview we currently hold. By definition, it cannot be otherwise. This is the filter of perception. So whatever comes through is filtered through that filter. That's just the way it is, at least in my view. And so this is major, because if we know what kind of worldviews exist, then we can clearly and easily see where a politician, for example, is coming from. So when a politician appeals to a particular concept, by knowing what kind of worldviews exist, we can very quickly know exactly from which place they're speaking. Are they speaking from a place of valuing egocentrism? Valuing, like really appreciating and valuing egocentrism? Or are they speaking from a place of valuing order and group identification? Order and group identification, which is the next worldview, right? I'm going worldview by worldview. And I won't go into all of them because we spoke about this last time. And there is the calibration, worldview calibration tool you guys can refer to. So, but that's the idea that if we, as we develop our mind, things stop to escape from us. The reality of where things are created from and spoken from starts to be just impossible to unsee and not notice. Okay, so the worldview calibration is another shortcut. The stuff that the table that I sent last time, I believe it's a very, very powerful tool. I haven't seen that in this form anywhere. It's inspired a lot by Ken Wilber's work on spiral dynamics, integral spiral dynamics, and similar approaches. So that's like the essence, the quintessence of all that knowledge put into an innocent-looking little table and an assessment tool. So that's powerful. Now, yeah. So this is something that's kind of like under the hood in all these teachings that I share. Developmental maps. Like we've been looking at developmental maps. We'll be looking at developmental maps in every session. Why? Because reading developmental maps and creating developmental maps, which we'll do at the end of month 2, if you stick around, that shapes the thinking. That really helps our thinking, because in reality, things develop and evolve. Nothing stays put. Everything changes. And so how it changes can be seen through developmental maps. Anyways, I won't go further into that, but that's a rabbit hole I could go in for at least the training at the end of month 2. Then, this is a juicy one. So there is something that people call woke culture. Don't read, please, don't read yet. Actually, let me go back. I want to introduce that one. So there's something people call woke culture. Those of you in the US or that have to do with American culture, I don't have to explain. For the others, it's basically the green pluralistic worldview that values equality, equity, actually quality and impact more than anything at that stage of their life. And there are unbalanced cases of that in many people in the current world, especially in places like California, New York, Boston, East Coast, some of the Western European countries, especially there. And so much so it is present that it becomes a collective phenomenon called woke culture, where people become combative, become activists a lot of times towards fighting inequality, resisting, fighting it. Okay, so there is an antidote to that. It's because at the essence it's an unbalanced worldview, and the balance there is a contradiction. There is a contradiction that people don't see, that plays out in miraculous ways in their thinking system without them knowing. And so they're actually contradicting themselves without knowing how. And so I'm going to give you one phrase that just pinpoints that a contradiction, kind of like puts a pin on it, literally. Well, not literally, figuratively. But the analogy works really well. So puts a pin onto it. So I'm going to say that phrase. You'll see, I invite you to see the contradiction. I invite you to ask yourself, how much do I resonate with that? And so let's just go into it. So here's the phrase. I'm going to read it slowly. Everyone is right. Everyone is right. Don't you think otherwise? But whoever disagrees with it is wrong. Do you see the logical fallacy? Do you see that contradiction? Everyone is right, and I will defend that. Because whoever disagrees with that is wrong. So that's the energetic essence of it. Okay, so that was a shortcut. Yeah, if this is something that resonates with you, ponder it after this call, read it a few times more, see the contradiction, see how it plays out in other people, maybe in your life a little bit. It's totally fine. We're all in this together. So, okay, and then I think the last one is developing integral thinking and integral vision. That probably sounds like, ooh, what's that? So this is something under the hood as well of this whole container, and of everything that I share. It's sprinkled with integral thinking and integral visions. Just by taking this course, you're already developing a thinking that is integrated, and vision is integrated. And it's a natural ability of any person. It's just in most people on the planet, it's kind of like dormant, yet to be, activated. That potential is yet to be activated. But it's in every human, with virtually no exceptions, has the capacity to have that kind of thinking and vision. Beautiful. Wow, we're covering some cool ground here. I'm super excited about all these things. They've really changed my life. So optimal practices. What would be the practices for developing the mind? Acquiring truthful, profound, integrated knowledge that balances heart and mind. So spiritual intelligence, the mind, understanding these deep truths, deep things about human development and growth, etc., is not the experience. We're trying to bring it together here so that it doesn't stay just as a conceptual framework, okay? Conceptual frameworks may even be like, when it's an overload of those, it may even be counterproductive, right? When we don't allow, when we just stuff ourselves with too much knowledge, it can be counterproductive because it starts to like overwhelm our system essentially. So, and the point is to bridge these two together: spiritual experience of those expanded states of consciousness, of following the excitement, of worldviews that are more balanced and integrated, etc., So experiencing that together with knowing it. And as a practice, this is obviously very, very profound, and that's very much what we're doing here. Integral, for more should I say mindy or intellectually oriented of you, studying integral meta theory, especially from the one of the like top philosophers on this, Ken Wilber, can be very, very enriching and spurt growth. But it is quite mindy. It is quite intellectual all the way to like academic almost. Then there are also something in the same line, meta-modern theories and philosophies. This is also very, very, expands the thinking and the critical thinking and the meta thinking and so on. So this is good stuff for those of you more intellectually oriented, similar to integral meta theory in terms of mind development. Then there is also perennial and panpsychic philosophies. So those are the branches of philosophy. Perennial basically is looking for universal truths across different philosophies, religions, schools of knowledge. So very similar also to what we're doing here. And panpsychic basically is the idea that everything is one mind or one consciousness or one psyche, some people say, or one awareness of itself and so on. So those are the types of philosophy. So those are very much recommended by me. Then sacred geometry, studying that, I truly believe that develops the mind as well. And new physics, the new paradigm of science, and we'll talk about that in month 2. We'll have a session on this. This is going to be really cool, and I'll make it simple and easy so that regardless of your degree of intellectually orientedness, I think it's a good way to put it. I think it will be very clear to everyone, and I'll do my best so that it's so. Okay, so we're done with the mind. Now we're on uniqueness, emotions, and then there will be body, and then we'll go into a meta across these vectors. How are we doing on time? We're doing good. So we got 28 minutes. Yeah, we're good. Okay, shortcuts for emotions. And actually, I want to call it shadow from now on. Emotions is a part of it. I think shadow is a more reflective name, as in shadow or light, right? So shadow just being something that we don't see, it's in the shadow. And then we see it, and then we see it, and then it's in the light. And so that's how we roll. Okay. So it's going to be a short one, actually, and yet potent. I think it all starts with being with it, honestly, being with it. So whatever emotion, whatever sensation, whatever intense feeling there is, being with it is where it starts. Like if we're avoiding it, if we're trying to push it down, if we're trying to, bring the dial back, then it's hard to. We're basically self-sabotaging ourselves because our system is built so that we can actually receive and feel whatever is coming through, because that's the process, that's life, that's how it works. The flow of life flows through us, and then there is a reason for each and everything. Reason. The more we block it, the longer it takes, and the more difficult it gets. So it's really in our own benefit to be with it, to really give it space, give it time. How do we be with it? Well, I think I'll say something very, very simple. Closing your eyes. I think closing your eyes is maybe the easiest and best hack that I've found. So basically, when I have this intensity coming up, if I close down my eyes, I'm giving myself an instruction, a signal. Okay, I'm going to be with it. And I'm going to be with it for longer than 2 seconds. I don't know for how long, maybe 5 seconds, maybe a minute. Usually for me, yeah, it's like in between 5 seconds and 5 minutes for the most intense stuff, or maybe 10 minutes, or maybe, okay, the most intense stuff, maybe like even an hour when it's like big life-changing stuff. But usually 5, 10, 15 seconds, and all that heart opening protocol happens. So we are with it, we pay attention to it, we allow it to deliver information, we allow it to transmute, to transform, we listen to it, we may even talk to it, have a little conversation, because we can have a relationship or a conversation or a line of communication with any object or form or shape or energy or entity or spirit in the entire universe. We can have a relationship with anything. So we can talk to anything, including our own unintegrated parts, emotions, feelings, mind states, whatever it is. And then at the end of the day, as we are with it, it's about relaxing and releasing. This is so short, so simple, yet it's one of the most powerful codes that I've come across. So let me speak to it for just a second. So a lot of people indulge in healing. A lot of people indulge in identifying with their patterns, identifying with their stories of the mind, identifying with the victimhood stories, and they kind of take some kind of morbid pleasure in mulling it over. A lot of people do that. I'm not saying you do that. In reality, we all do that, I would say, in my view, just to different extents, just a different degree. And so relax and release is a code that basically says there's no need really to, entangle yourself so much with things. And not always we entangle too much and not with everything, but a lot of times we do. And so relax and release basically says, feel it, relax, whichever way you can, just let it go, release it. And then as you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, this is actually not a way to run away from stuff, because we first get in touch with it. We first are with it. We listen to it, we talk to it, we are with it. And then comes a time to relax and release instead of holding on to it, whether it's a story, a belief, a sensation, any of those things. And okay, so that was maybe the first deep code, and then the second deep code. And I think, do I have anything else on this? No. So yeah, the second deep code is that okay. So there are many ways to engage in shadow work, or work with emotions, or cleaning up, people also call it. There are many ways, and usually novices that come into the space of self-development, they start with therapy. Nothing against therapy. I love therapy. There are many approaches. However, therapy by definition, well, most therapy, or let's say most people engage in therapy that is just mind-driven. So it's only about looking into that ego mind, looking at the patterns, looking at when things started, looking at beliefs, looking at stories, and untangling, unraveling, kind of like analyzing the mind continuously. Well, you can imagine that it's not the only thing that there is. There are emotions, there are feelings, there is consciousness, there is heart opening, there is uniqueness, there is a lot of stuff. There are other dimensions of us. There's a lot of stuff. And so just going into the mind, in some people, when they go about it for years, can create an identification with those stories. So it can actually get counterproductive. Now, there is a place for it, and these are beautiful approaches, and some of them are useful at any level of development. But overall, we want to have approaches that tackle all dimensions of our beings. And there is a word for that. Transpersonal therapy, or transpersonal approaches, is one way to call it. People also call it quantum. Quantum this, quantum that. Quantum healing, quantum, quantum. So that also speaks to the transpersonal layer. So working with all the layers of us. So the code here, and what I'm trying to deliver here, is that all things being equal, deeper and more integral, so more balanced across the domains, and deeper tend to be more effective. There are exceptions, there are caveats, but overall, I would say one wants to focus on the deepest therapies that are possible, with the deeper layers of us, and integral across layers. So for example, if we look at it from the point of view of what's deeper, what does it mean deeper, right? So deeper means more bits per second of information, so higher levels of consciousness. And then remember that there were states of consciousness, right? So from waking consciousness, we kind of transition into subtle realms of energy, Some people also call it astral. And so that is basically working at the energetic level. So not at the level of the story of the mind, but at the energetic level, with the blockages, with the another way to work with is through somatics, through the body. Anyways, so I just want to drive this home. Deeper and more balanced integral healing practices tend to be more effective. Okay. Practices. Now, practices for emotions. Okay, so there is one that has been very effective for me. I won't speak about it for too long. If this, I'll speak a little bit. If this resonates with you, you can send me a personal message or ask for it in the group, and I'll make a voice note and I'll explain it in more detail. Basically, this is a beautiful process when something irritates us, somebody or something irritates us, or we judge someone. It shouldn't be this way. Judging is not accepting that it is the way it is. It's saying shouldn't be the way it is. That's judging. Or we idolize something or someone. They're so amazing. Wow, they do this so well, and like I just marvel. All of these are something we're not accepting in ourselves. So we're basically projecting onto the outside what we're not looking at on the inside. And so 3, 2, 1. So basically, like it's in me, but I don't want to have it in me. And so I point fingers to others saying, oh, you have that, you have that, you have that. And it could be both positive and negative. So judging or idolizing, right? Something people call shadow and golden shadow. Okay, so the 3, 2, 1 process reverses that. So basically, when somebody irritates me and I notice it, I'm like, I know you. That's a projection. There's got to be something in me. What would that be? And so the 3, 2, 1 process is reversing that, saying, oh, that's what irritates me. Why that behavior irritates me? And so we talk to that behavior or to that person in an imaginary conversation. We're like, what's going on? What's really going on here? And so at some point, we start to realize that it actually speaks about something within us. And so what we want is to integrate that, to own that, to accept that, to acknowledge that, and to love that, to be kind to that part. So that's one practice that has been really good for me, because you know, we go about life and things irritate us. We judge, we idolize, we all do, just to a different extent. Then the other one is, as I was saying, different healing modalities that are deeper, that work at the energetic level or even archetypical level, or even beyond at the quantum level. So that stuff, on average, all things equal, is more effective than others. This is something that I haven't done myself, but I really want to do, and I've collected all kinds of information. There's something called Hoffman process. It's a 1-week process or so, where a lot of the shadow work is done in very professional, safe containers and settings. So much so that I can recommend without having gone through it. I have very good faith in this, and yeah, Hoffman process. And it's all over the world, I think. Then this is to be taken with care, but if we speak about optimal practices for working with shadow or emotions line of development, then it's NLP, or reprogramming the subconscious. That's very, very effective. And word of caution, you got to be trusting who you're working with, careful, collect recommendations, so on and so forth. This is deep, important work that is not to be taken lightly. And hypnotherapy is essentially using techniques to increase bits per second of a person, of their perception of the present moment, so that using that additional expansion, more things can be seen and worked with, rather than without, prior to that experience of hypnosis, which is simply expansion of consciousness, kind of like rubber banding of consciousness, and then it comes back. But then in that rubber banding, we're able to do some important work. And we're moving on to the last one, which is body. And we'll start with the shortcuts. Okay, so Yeah, I'm speaking from my experience of 20 years of playing semi-professional / amateur basketball and creating a startup, a tool where we created an AI assistant that helped people optimize their well-being through the body first and foremost, but also holistically. So I'm speaking from that experience. So from everything that I've read and known, basics have to be covered first. If we don't sleep long enough, if we don't sleep regularly enough, then basically it's the foundation. So if you have sleep, movement / exercise, nutrition, and stress management, if you're kind of falling behind there in some way, then those have to, that's just the way it is in my view. They have to be taken care of before moving on to the rest. It's just a must. It's the most basic stuff for the body, for life energy, for vitality. Then, breath. That I love this. So there are two things that I want to share here. One is three actually. One is that we're meant to breathe with the nose. There are physiological, neurological, and all kinds of other benefits to breathing through the nose, not through the mouth, meaning continuously as we live life. And a lot of people, and I was a person that was breathing quite a bit through my mouth. And it's just a very quick fix, not exactly overnight, but it's something that can bring up that generation of life energy onto like up level it. It's something that I would kind of consider a basic as well. So how does one first of all ask yourself, what percentage of time do I breathe through the nose versus through the mouth? And if you still breathe through the mouth, during the night especially, and during the day as well, then first notice that, and second, try to just bring your attention continuously through breathing through the nose. As you notice yourself breathing through the mouth, switch to the nose. At night, what worked for me was, it's a little bit drastic and graphic, but I would put Scotch tape on my mouth at night, literally, so that I couldn't breathe through the mouth. Guess what? The body is like, okay, gotta breathe through the nose. I guess there's no other way out. And so quite quickly, within maybe a few weeks or a couple of months, I completely switched, but I switched tremendously to much more nose breathing. Okay, second thing is that, and this may sound controversial a little bit, most people or many people, when they breathe in, they suck their belly in, which is the opposite of what mammals do and children do up until some age. So as you breathe right now, pay attention. When you breathe in, is your belly out or in? Even if by a little bit. Because if, and this is like an epidemics, I believe, in the world, that people are essentially suffocating them a little bit with each breath as they bring the belly in, as they breathe in, because it's supposed to go out naturally. So this is something that I invite you to pay attention to, maybe outside of this training, and see that. Because if you bring your belly in and you can change that, same method, bringing awareness. Well, also, many other practices help, like breath work and apnea. I'm not sure about the English term, when you breathe out and then you bring the belly in as much as you can. Those, I'm not sure what's it called. So there are practices that help with that, but I think the king of all the practices is just consciousness, bringing consciousness to it. And that can give you a boost of life energy also quite quickly. Okay, don't get scared. So the coherence breathing that we did in the beginning of this training and the last training, somebody asked me like, oh, I would like to know more. So I'm bringing a little bit of more detail into this. So this is a graph from HeartMath Institute, where basically they do these coherence exercises by having people breathe in the 5.5 second length, and people get into coherence very quickly in terms of their different bodily functions. And so as that happens, just look at where the arrows point. Literally, the productivity, efficiency of the body just gets a crazy spike of resonance. We'll speak about that in a second. And oh, I got so much more to share. Okay, I need to make decisions on what to spare. Okay,
it's okay. We're here. We're ready. We're receiving. We're not in a rush.
But thank you. I like to respect the time, and I like to finish on time. So I'll try to do that as best as I can. So vitality through movement. So these are codes that I've learned from all my sport experience, and I would say that 3 components of the development of the body are most conducive to vitality and life energy, which are strength of the muscles, elasticity of the muscles, and endurance. And for me, the recipe to getting there is the following. One is that one needs to combine aerobic and anaerobic. Anaerobic is basically strength training, and aerobic is our activities where we get our heart to pump blood more. Basically, we increase our heart rate so that we train our entire blood system to be more efficient. Then the second part of it is consistent small wins. This comes from the behavior change theory, and this is basically the entire behavior change theory brought into 3 words. This is innocent, but so powerful, guys. Trust me on this. Consistent small wins. This is how we advance in anything. And this applies not only to the body, but to anything. And then another thing is choosing a favorite sport. I see too many people suffering by imposing a physical activity they don't like. And everybody has one that they like. So it's about picking that one, finding that one. And we can actually maybe do that in the next training with the Zone of Genius. The Zone of Genius, I feel, translates into those. And then the last one is tracking soreness. You guys know what soreness is? Soreness is when muscles feel weary, tired, sore. So if we don't experience soreness, basically muscles don't grow because they're like, whatever, that's easy. Why grow? And when there is soreness, it's an indication that they need to grow. Now, the hack is to at all times, every day, track your soreness, just mentally, noticing it. How sore are my muscles from 1 to 10, where 10 is like, whoa, I gotta like stop for 2 weeks. And then 1 is nothing, no soreness. So you wanna be kind of like, I don't want to give prescriptions here, but track your soreness so that you continuously exercise your muscles so that they respond and they grow. And the key to that is tracking soreness, consistent small wins, enjoying the physical activity, and combining the pumping blood with the strength training and elasticity of the muscles. Oh, this is another great one. So we usually have key physical blocks, like something where, for example, our movement, the motion, the range of movement is most limited. For me, for example, doesn't matter, but we all have like an area or two where there is most, like limited degree of movement. Something's blocked. And it could be anywhere really, in the knee, in the ankle, in the back, neck, anything, any part of the body. There is always something. And so the idea is to, when we know what it is, and we focus the body work at that, and not just randomly, it's a smart thing to do. It's basically like growth drivers. Oh, and dancing always is brings healing, vitality, sensuality, expansion. Dancing is so important. And so as for the practices, is the ecstatic dance, dynamic meditation for those of you that resonate with that, like the one Osho suggests, weightlifting. You would be surprised. Ken Wilber actually recommends it he recommends meditation and weightlifting. Do you believe that? And I feel that actually for strength, it's probably the best thing that we've come up with. Then specifically Thai massage from Thai people. They're trained in deeper layers of massage. They treat different layers of the body. It's not any kind of massage. It's they've been doing it for thousands of years. So this is something that I recommend a lot. Okay, so let's see. We got 5 minutes. And we got meta keys and meta practice and master practice. Okay. Oh, there's so much I want to share. Let's see. How do we do this? I'll skip some of the stuff. I'll do an additional video where I'll speak to this and I'll send it to the group so that we finish on time. Okay. So I'll just name them and then we'll do that quick thing and then I'll send it to people because I want to respect everybody's time and we had it on the calendar even if it's Saturday and I know you guys love me and I love you and this is juicy and still I choose what I just said. So number 1, master the art and science of peak experiences. There's a graph for it. Okay. Second, accepting the infinite rhythmic nature of feeling that onion of shadow work, aka contraction, expansion cycle on repeat, masculine and feminine, feminine and masculine. Accepting that. That took me a while. I think I'm still working on that. Then, oh, this is a good one. So there are situations in life that kind of give like easy life experience points. For example, what do I mean by that? Like we can learn a ton in easy environments. These are kind of like trampolines, okay, into growth. So 1, intense feelings and emotions. Juicy. There's something to gain from there if we do all those things we spoke about. Then life riddles. A situation where it's like, I don't know what to do. Life riddles. This is a growth opportunity. Crucial conversations. We got to have a direct, difficult, crucial conversation with someone. Opportunity for growth. Family dynamics. I don't have to tell you about that one. Then children and pet interaction. I learned a ton from those. Unknown situations. By definition. Something out of ordinary just happens. So you go about your life, somebody on the street gives you a flower or yells at someone. Out of ordinary. There is always something life is telling us, or a lot of times. And then you're being invited by life into something. So you want to tend to say yes. At least that's how I see it. And just notice it. Studying the first principles is a meta shortcut that applies to all of these 5 trajectories. Certain channeled work, studying that is, I believe, is very conducive to growth, specifically Law of One, Bashar, and some others. Deep activations from profound masters. And this is a small list that I give here, not in the order of preference, but yeah, you might want to check these out. These have activations even on YouTube that are very powerful upgrades. Then another key is across the domain is to ask the deepest and most embodied masters that you know for personalized recommendations on other masters, on what to do in terms of learning and development, etc., etc. So I really like this one because it just makes so much sense to me because, you know, masters that are ahead of us, they kind of like are wells. So we can look in the well and we're like, oh, deep. But how deep? And so if we identify the deepest wells and ask and go through them, that's a smart move, I believe. And I've been doing that for a long time. And then optimal meta practices. We won't have time for this, but specific breath work practitioners, masters, can have an amazing effect on life. It's also pretty much across all the trajectories, maybe not so much mind, but the rest, yes, for sure. So breath work, and I recommend specifically one particular master. He has a YouTube channel called Breathe with Sandy. There's actually another one, but I don't remember his full name right now. So Breathe with Sandy, I've been doing that every day in the morning, For me, that's a part of morning practice. I don't skip. Plant medicine. You must know what you're doing and with whom. Plant medicine, also across all domains, is an amazing booster and amplifier, especially with the right person in the right set and setting, respecting the traditions, knowing what you're doing, taking it easy, just being very smart about it. This instrument, wow. And important to know that it's like a rubber band as well. It's an amplifier of consciousness temporarily, and then it's about integration. So if we don't change our habits and behavior, how we actually show up, and we don't increase our integrity levels and embodiment levels, we're rubber band to exactly the same place. And that I'll speak about in the science and art of peak experiences. Energy work, must know what you're doing and with whom. Vipassana still holds true. Dark retreats, meditation retreats with deep masters, entrepreneurship, that's in 2 weeks. We're going to be diving deep into that. I feel it's an amazing learning scheme for humans. And now let's simplify this complexity. We're past time. I think I'll take 3 to 5 minutes. If anybody needs to jump off, please do. You can watch this little piece after it. I would like to, do this last bit. I wanted us to meditate together. Maybe we can decide together if after the 5 minutes we do a short meditation, or we just do shares and Q&A and whatever, jam in whichever way. So that's the plan. Apologies for not being on time. We actually started 5 minutes later, so I guess I still have 5 minutes. Okay, wonderful. So let's simplify this complexity. Okay, time to pick up your top 3. So out of all the codes that I've shared that may have been a little overwhelming, what do you even remember? So pick your top 3, put them in the order of how much it resonated with you, and please put that in the chat when you're ready so that we all can look at that later on. If you want to share, of course, no obligation. Okay, we'll take 20 seconds more. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. And let's go into the master practice. So could we now bring it all together? What if we did? What if we wanted to go for something as simple as possible, as quick as possible? What would that be? And there are three things that I'll mention, and then we'll go into the third one in a little bit more detail. So one is, it's really about noticing what's happening right now and learning from that. It sounds maybe utterly simple, but that's it. The best teacher is life itself. Life itself. Every moment, present moment, life is bringing us lessons. And so what can I learn from any happening? That's number one. Number two is service, which is simply giving and receiving.
Ahora voy por mis zapatos.
Giving and receiving. Then number three, this is the one we're going to go a little deeper in. I believe that the most powerful, potent, yet simple technique or practice or code that I know of is twofold. Conscious breath and entering that tiny space at the center of our heart, which is the gateway to all these other dimensions and places and into expansion of consciousness. These two. I see them as a highway into consciousness, because as the longer we do it, the longer we breathe consciously and stay in that tiny center, in the very center of our heart, the deeper we go, and there's no limit to it. It's like a highway, autobahn of consciousness. And so I'm kind of like this. I'm sure some of you may relate to this image, this visualization. And so we're finalizing by home fun. And home fun is, I suggest we play a game. So this game came to me in this week, because I've been receiving this downloads and codes. And it came to me that essentially what we're doing here is some kind of a game, really. What's a game? Well, a game has game mechanics. So usually there are levels, people up level. Then there are experience points people gain, and then they up level. Then there's some kind of character that's playing the game. There are parameters of that character, so a unique character. Then there are quests that people go on, and progress is measured in some way. And so this applies to life itself, and this applies to what we're doing here. And so, for example, the character and the descriptions of the character are the stuff that we're going to be doing in the Zone of Genius. Is the stuff that and measuring progress are the different maps, right? So the worldview calibration, those of you who have done it, you know where you stand today, and so we can go back and do it again after some time, and we'll see some progress, hopefully. And the same for map of uniqueness, and the same for map of quality of life. So we're actually literally measuring our progress and seeing how we up level in the real game of life. That's what's been coming through to me. And so what I propose is that we play like a very simple iteration of that for home fun. And this is what I propose. We do conscious breaths and heart entry reminders to ourselves every day. And we'll start with level 1, which is just one time in a day, just once, to remember. Oh, let me breathe consciously for a little while. And let me enter or focus or bring my attention into that heart space, the very center of it, the gateway to the other dimensions, the gateway into consciousness itself. And so as we do it 3 days in a row, we advance that and we add another one. And I suggest that we, the way to do it is to set reminders on the phone, alarms, and to make a calendar entry so that it pops up, or, so we just remind it. And let's just one a day. You literally can do just one conscious breath or one heart entry. I have a feeling that this game is going to get us places, especially if we do it together as a collective, as a group, so that the social dynamics of gamification plays out, which is very powerful and very important to behavior change. And so I invite you to this game, Leveling Up. I'll make a Google spreadsheet. If somebody wants to, take this game to another level by organizing ourselves in some other way, please ping me. But for now, let's make it very simple. We just do that. Okay, we just do that. I ask you to trust me that this is gonna be a home fun that will be fun and useful for us. You may wish to join it or not. I invite us all to join, and I think this can be a very powerful home fun and exercise for us to see how that changes our life, because that is the most powerful and most simple, almost deceivingly simple practice that I know of. So this is the home fun. We'll track it in a Google Sheet. We'll support one another. Obviously, no competition here. We're growing together. If you miss a day, you repeat that day. If you miss 2 consecutive days, you drop back a level. Okay, and this is how we go. Literally. Oh, I'm gonna do the conscious breath and enter the heart space. Close your eyes. And the only requirement is to stay with one conscious breath throughout the inhale and exhale with attention on the heart center. That's the minimum requirement, okay? that's all I wanted to share. So we covered the map, we zoomed in, we looked at keys to accelerating growth throughout the 5 vectors. We looked at shortcut for each, practices for each, meta shortcuts, meta practices, and then simplified it into one master practice that is now the home fun and the game that I propose we play. So we simplified that complexity into the conscious breath and heart centering home fun, into the top 3 codes that you're taking away with you. You'll have this information, you'll have the map of codes, and the next session we'll do the zone of genius, articulation, activation, monetization. And now let's celebrate and dance, whoever wants to. So just like last time, that was a lot of fun. I feel that really made my day. The dancing specifically. So I'm gonna play us with a song. You wanna just rock in your chair, do that. You wanna actually full on dance, please be my guest. And then we'll do a little round of Q&As and shares. We're a little bit late, please forgive me. I'm about to put the song. Okay. Thank you, Yannick. Whoever needs to hop off, please feel free. The video. Being a little slow. Want, you can also close down your eyes, maybe try out those conscious breaths and heart centering. Oh, masters. Here we go. your friends. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know it's been a lot of words and with the energy behind them and the most beautiful intentions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, yes. And Gigi just said that it's her favorite song ever. Happy to guess that. Beautiful. Okay, so that was me speaking for today, and it's open for you guys for us to jam, whatever it is, or share something. You want to share your wisdom with the group. You want to ask a question to me, to anyone, whatever is. The floor is open.
I am always excited to learn from your shares, and they are reminders. In my culture, we say there's nothing new under the sun, but you can have clarity under the things that are under the sun. And you have done a magnificent job, again, as always, in providing me with clarity and in the way that you share your research. And I think that's really your, a high level strength that you have is sharing your research and so freely, just like myself. And it's good to listen to another master share what they have deemed important and have laid out, to share with his tribe and his community and his family in the betterment of the whole tribe. Like as your tribe gets better, you get better. And as you contribute in this manner, we just all continue to grow and benefit. And my biggest takeaway today was the point about talking to those masters who have access to things that you may not have access to. And then my other takeaway is sequence of events. Like, where is everybody at on this call that caused you to deliver this message today, where everybody is at in their life? Like, everybody's in a different point in their life, but something happened where all of us had to meet here today on a live or on a recording. And I just think it's phenomenal, and I look forward to, and I missed the first 30 minutes. So I can't wait to go back and look at the beginning. Relaxation is the key, of course, the breath work. I just want to add on that too. High chest breathing and breathing through the mouth is panting, and it causes unnecessary adrenaline. But deep belly breathing encourages serotonin. And the work that you are suggesting works better when the body and the nervous system is calm, when there's an infusion of serotonin into the system. So you can cause adrenaline to come into the body by really doing high chest breathing, mouth breathing. You also can instigate and invoke serotonin by breathing down deep in the belly. So I really love the holistic aspect of this teaching that you're bringing here, that includes the breath along with consciousness and relaxation. I love the part about the world view, because that was like human design, but you didn't use the human design lingo. And I really loved it because we're always being conditioned by someone else's worldview. And it doesn't matter whether it's a media-based worldview or I'm in a small village in Kathmandu. Like that's their worldview. And like after you said that, I was like, wow, this is his world. This is his worldview. This is a culmination. These are the cliff notes of your worldview. And I was like, this is the fastest way to like being a successful founder in being able to implement the relationships that we've built. You know, like not just relationships between you and me, but all of your relationships that you've built have led you to be here in this share, and all the relationships that I have built have led me to be here to even respond to what you have offered. If I was going on a human design for how you did as a manifester today, it's a 10 of 10. Thank you. Peace.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you for your wisdom, for being here with us. Every container also turns out to be different here, a different energy from the first one, different everything. And just quick thing I want to say that yeah, not only we're always led by someone and leading some others at the same time, but also it's even more intricate than that. We learn from everyone because we're just so multifaceted, and life is so infinitely intricate and complex that there is much to learn from everyone, regardless of that leading, being led dynamic at once.
Yeah, thank you, Sasha, again for this amazing class. You know, the whole thing when you talked about feel more, you have to, in order to feel more, you have to feel more. And the sitting with those different emotions, letting those emotions transmute. You know, let the energy transmute, whatever it is, whatever form. Sitting with it, you know, and you know, being there in the moment and listening to them, you know, going on a journey and walking with them and really having that experience. It's profound, and it resonated with home with me. So gratitude. Thank you.
Appreciate your brother. Appreciate that. Yeah, I said it and I was like, whoa, I've never said it this way. It's so obvious, so simple yet so profound, right? To feel more, you feel more. Please, Tamaris, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Welcome to
Hi,
to the live session. So good to have you here.
thank you. Thank you everyone for being in this container, because I understand that the more of us are doing the work together, the more of us are expanding and possibly helping others when we start to do the work. But I just wanted to touch upon the piece where you spoke about the game, because I have been having this perspective where if we made healing close to a game, and if we created containers that took the seriousness out and the stories and the limitations and made it more into a gamified way to up level, because all the things I have learned through the healing, when I look back, I'm like, I didn't even need to do all of that, like gunk type of things, and it could have been modified. And I just, I'm happy to hear that you're talking about the gamified way, because I want to potentially grow into that. Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it resonates so much with me, the whole game analogy. And there is this beautiful brother of mine, Ollie, that was in the first call. He's working on a project actually to gamify something like this. So yeah, as this evolves, maybe we all collaborate, co-create together. So I'm definitely looking forward to jamming with all you guys, and we're covering some really amazing ground. And the next one, Zone of Genius, is gonna be really helpful to get closer to that path of uniqueness, of that creation, whatever it is. And then conscious entrepreneurship. Oof, this good stuff coming, and hopefully we among ourselves also get to go from a one way, a little bit training, to truly co-creating all together.
Greetings, greetings. great information. I want to thank you for going into the inner vision of self, because a lot of us know about the outside, but we know very little about what goes on with us on the inside. So I want to thank you for lifting the veil and exposing us to that type of energy and that consciousness. It's real profound. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Much gratitude, Sasha. Much gratitude.
Thank you, Anwar. Thank you so much. Yeah, your words pierce through and are wise. Thank you. Your email as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you again. Today is the energy of water in my Mayan wisdom project that I did before this call.
Mm.
The energy of water. What a wonderful way to have a manifester just run me through that expansive river of my mind and just be like, okay, the way you just talked to my mind said, hey, it's okay. You don't have to worry about anything. Just feel it through. And I'm an emotional being. You just calm down my nervous system and I just went along for the ride. That alone is amazing. And what a great day in the energy of water to have a manifester to learn and grow in the way that you just simplify and the ultimate sophistication. So thank you, thank you. Again, I have to sit with all this, but I also do a breath work on Instagram. So thank you for making it fun. I'll be like, okay, first day, here goes my one breath, my one heart-centered breath. Then you just build up from that because like atomic habits, right? It's teeny tiny habits that don't have to be serious, but they can be fun. So thank you. And you come right on time in whatever is going on in the world for me. So thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Laura, so much, so much. Thank you so much for being here, for coming here, for sharing what you share. It really impacts, I think, the collective, definitely impacts me. Thank you so much for your authenticity and yeah. I think that speaking to the minds, I think turned out to be a good one as well. And definitely up for making it fun, keeping it fun, and making it even more fun. And for sure, Atomic Habits, basically, that's the message of the approach and of the book. Consistent, small wins get you anywhere on anything. Yeah.
Sasha, do you remember the night of the angel investors in Bali when we were sitting in a circle at Andrew's house?
I do. What are you cooking there?
I'm a Taurus. You know what I'm saying? You were my breakfast and now this is dessert. I haven't eaten today.
Before the ratchet goes out.
Right, before the ratchet goes out.
I'm
I have some fried salmon. I have some sweet potato yam, and I have some very buttery grits with some turkey bacon chopped up inside. Very protein rich. But just commenting on what you just said about atomic habits, Andrew was shared with me. He said heading in the right direction will beat a good goal and a good plan every day. And right now, even with my uncertainty of what month 2 is going to look like, what's that going to look like? What's that going to look like? I'm so confident that I'm heading in the right direction. So very, very, I just want to just like navigationally give that to you around heading in the right direction, you know, because we could have good information, a good plan, and be going in the wrong direction and just suck. So I just wanted to acknowledge you for that, you know, and just holding true to the course. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. The idea of the first 2 sessions was to provide a foundational layer for all of us in many ways, to have a common vocabulary, to accelerate that growth, to balance our growth in many ways, to open up that panorama of the full potential, highlight what's possible, and so that we all continue our growth, and so that then we can build on that foundation in all kinds of ways of expansion. That's what came through. Beautiful. Okay, well, if anyone else wants to jump in and share anything, please, you're welcome. And if not, we'll be wrapping up. I'll share the recording on the group. I'll share the home fund. I'll share the table with the keys. I think I'll share the slides for both sessions. Would you like that? Yeah, I'm sharing everything. I'll be sharing resources for this. The only thing I ask is not to teach the exact same thing, the exact same container. Other than that, be my guest. Use any of this for your own benefit, for the benefit of the others in any way you want and can. Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
I do have the meditation that, like you described it. So I'm going to send you the copy of the microcosmic orbit meditation, and then you can send it out to the group. You know what I'm saying? Like in the thing, so we can get right to deep belly breathing. And what I always say is, start with 5 minutes a day, and then just add 1 minute every day. Go 5 minutes twice a day, and add 1 minute every day. And then in 1 week, you'll be up to like 15, 20 minutes. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Please do share it with me. Okay, everyone, thank you so much again for being here, for co-creating this beautiful space. And we'll talk in a week. Share whatever you want in the chat. So no rules. So I'll see you next week. I think it's a good thing to have, space in between to integrate, feel good about this cadence. I don't know if you do as well. Feels good to me. And it gives me time to receive all the juiciness as well, because everyone, each thing I share is my best work I've ever done, completely a new, evolved, next level. So, and I'm really happy that there is a space and there are people that receive it, and otherwise it wouldn't come out of my mouth and it wouldn't come in here. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll connect soon.
Thank you, Alex. Same time next week?
Yes, same time
Sounds
next week.
good. All right.
Bye now.
All right. Bye, guys.